Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday and welcome to our weekly career huddle. So every single week on Instagram, live right here every Wednesday, we talk about career strategies, mindsets, and tips. It's awesome to be able to have all of you on. And today we're going to be talking about goal setting for this upcoming next year. Hey Kanisha, awesome to have you on. So how many of you have started thinking about goals for next year? I know this year, this year feels like just a wash. Like throw everything out the door. I'm like so excited for next year, and I can't be like the only one. So I've started thinking about what do I want to get done? What do I want to accomplish next year? And one of the things that I'm doing is starting to write down my goals for next year. So I grabbed my planner a little bit early. Usually I'm like a procrastinator and I'll get one of these like 2 weeks into the year. But this year I'm like for once in my life ahead of it. And I've started writing down kind of things that I want to get accomplished next year on here. Hey, Carson.
Hey, how are
Um,
you?
Good. I see James is on. Mars is on. Peter Third just joined us as well. So every single week, this is our weekly career huddle. We talk about career strategies, mindsets, and tips. So Carson and I today wanted to get together and kind of just like talk out loud as to like what some of our personal goals are for next year, but also like how we're going to make these goals stick. I know like a few years ago, like 5+ years ago, I would like set these New Year's resolutions of like things that I wanted to get done. And then they would all just kind of like fade away and I would just like not do them. And one person every single year who I think I've always just like admired how he can set like his one thing for each year that he wants to get done. Hey, Peter Torres.
Peter Torres.
Um,
Hey, how are you, Peter?
um, One person that I've always looked forward to hearing like their annual update is Mark Zuckerberg, who every single year has always put together like some type of like annual challenge. So he like had one year where he wanted to learn how to speak Mandarin, and he did that year. So I'm starting to think through like what are the things that I want to get done next year, and something that got delayed for me because of the pandemic this year was run a marathon. So next year, one of my goals for sure. Happy holidays, Peter. One of the things I want to do for sure is try to run a marathon sometime in the next year. So I'm registered right now. We'll see if the marathon happens in the spring
If
because it's
not,
kind
it
of
might just
early in the
have to
year.
be
But
a virtual marathon.
yeah, but either way, that's one of the things that I want to try to accomplish. What do you have on your list, Carson?
I think this year focusing more on trying to be more productive during the day, and
Hmm.
I feel like I struggle a little bit in prioritizing, and so that's kind of something that I want to do and keep to a schedule, do a planner every day. And then another thing that I really am looking forward to is, um, have you ever heard of the 5 minute a day journal?
Yeah, I have. I've never been good or consistent with journaling, but
Yeah,
5 minutes a day seems doable.
that's exactly. I tried it my freshman year of college. I tried to do 5 minutes a day, and I made it through like 6 months, and then
Hmm.
again faded out. So this year, I'm going to try to do it throughout the whole year,
Hmm.
as just like a personal challenge. So
Yeah. Hey,
not a
Kristen.
marathon, but
See, Kristen Rawson's on. E. Grant
Sydney,
just joined.
Eddie.
Sydney. Good day, Sydney. Yeah, that I think that's a good one. And there's a lot of studies that show that journaling um, really helps with happiness.
Yeah,
Hey, Olivia, good to see you. So, journaling and just like taking a moment, expressing gratitude in general, like really, really helps with happiness. And something that I really like in this journal, I don't know if is this backwards? I think it's totally
yeah, it's
backwards.
backwards.
So right there, you can see backwards, today I'm grateful for. And so this is like the daily planner that I'm going to be using. But like literally every single day just starts out with today. Today
Yeah,
I'm grateful for. And then I got one big goal for the day. Um, Carson, this is off topic, but I hope you're thriving in Nashville.
Thank you. I know I'm really excited. It's definitely a different move. And so I feel like another good thing about journaling is like being able to reflect on my first year
Hmm.
in Nashville. So I'm super stoked about that. And kind of going back to what you were saying about gratitude in 5 minute a day journal, it's also like starts with three things that you're grateful for. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's something that it's really beneficial to stop and kind of think of that, especially with everything going on right now. Having moments like that and kind of reminding yourself at the start or at the end of the day
Hmm.
of those like little victories is just so worth it in that end.
Yeah. David, thanks for joining us. Grant, thanks for joining us. I see Lori Oakins on. Anthony, good to see you. This is our weekly career huddle. So every single week, we're talking about career strategies, mindsets, and tips. Today, Abby Collins, good to see
Yeah.
you. Morning. So today we're talking about just 2021. So, if you have something, if you've started thinking about like what you want your 2021 to look like, one of the ways of being able to stay on your habits and routines or to be able to set goals and to be able to reach those goals is to start visualizing what your reward is going to be at the end of that goal. And so, the part of being able to just keep the motivation up of doing something is being able to visualize the reward. And I kind of like to think of this as like if there's like a documentary film crew like following you around when you're accomplishing whatever goal you have set for yourself in the future, like what would that documentary film crew see? What would they do? It's not to say that like, it has to be a film crew, but even if there was like a fly on the wall, like what would that fly see? And so like something I think about a lot is just like after finishing a marathon, like I'm looking forward to like my first meal afterwards. And that meal for me, like I'm just thinking like giant bowl of pasta because like no better way to finish than just to like carb load. Um, but you really have to like visualize and like imagine yourself accomplishing whatever that goal is. And like if it's starting a new job, it could be like post pandemic, like walking into a new office and like setting up your desk, or moving to a new city could be one as well. But being able to visualize that really, really helps with being able to accomplish and to be able to hit that goal. I'm kind of curious for some of you, like what are some of the goals that Jabber says, "Hey guys, love you guys so
Oh,
much."
Jeff,
Uh,
birthday.
hey Jabber. Um, so I'm curious for some of you, type in the comment box down below, like what are the new habits that you want to build next year? Like if you had something where you could consistently do it for 21 days in a row, like what would it be? I know a lot of people during the pandemic have been focusing on just cooking more and like
Yeah.
eating healthier. So, whatever your goal is, type something down below because the number one way of being able to stick with your goals is actually to involve other people in it. If you try to do it by
Accountability.
yourself, yeah. If you try to do it by yourself, it's harder to be able to accomplish your goals. And there was some research and a study that I was reading before that, like literally the act of saying your goal out loud and sharing it with somebody else, you're already one step ahead of other people in terms of like being able to reach that goal, even if you just say it out loud, write it down, and share it with somebody
Put it
else.
first. Eddie says staying active, going outside, getting fresh air, touching base with friends.
Love it.
And then, yeah, Jabber, quantifiable, bite sized daily goals. I think both of those are things that we kind of don't really think about doing on a daily basis, but also have so much of a benefit and reward come the end of the day or the end of the week when you're reflecting and saying, especially if you are working from home.
Hmm.
Just knowing you have those connections, reaching out to your friends, calling your parents, and things like that. So I think that's a realistic goal for this year.
Yeah, and something that I like about what Jabber said is quantifiable baby-sized daily goals. Because like when you break down your goals, it's so much easier to be able to like manage, right? Like so when I start thinking through, at least for mine, on like marathon running, it's like, okay, well, step one is I need new running shoes. So, just go to a store, get running shoes. That's what I'm doing today. Step two is like I got to start mapping out like how many miles a day I want to be able to accomplish week by week, and like what days of the week, what time of the day am I going to go out and run. Hey, Kathy, thanks for joining us. And so no matter what it is, whether it's a job search, whether it's to be able to launch a career, jumpstart a career, there's different things that you got to do along the way. And just breaking those down into bite-sized goals just to be able to invest like 15 minutes a day. And Carson, I know you've talked a lot about in the past, just like how to make it something that's a 15-minute a day thing, because like it seems like such an ordeal if you have to say like, oh, I'm gonna like sit down and spend like 8 hours a day working towards this goal.
Yeah, definitely. Something that has helped me is having a calendar that is hourly. So you can say, like, I'm dedicating this half hour to reaching out and connecting with old friends, or this is going to be where I do that one task that's kind of daunting, but I'm going to do it in the beginning of the day, get it done, and then you can see all the other free time that you have. And so I think that really puts it in perspective and helps with your ability to be productive throughout the day.
Yeah. Peter Torres says, great strategies for 2021. Carson, better organization, prioritization, key to maximizing performance across your task list, including a daily cross training and meditation. Love it. Jabber says, Vincent said something super powerful. If you set a specific time and date, 70% higher chance of being able to do it. And yeah, I agree with you, Carson. Like you can see here, it says 7 a.m. all the way down to 9 p.m. And then on the bottom here, it says plan to reality score. So like, and you can score it out of 10 points. So it's like, did you map out the 30-minute intervals? And I actually love on this planner that I'm using, it says, so on the top, it says, today I'm grateful for, and then it's today's goal. So it's like, what's the one big thing that I want to accomplish today? And then I have a spot for 3 targets for today. And then I can just block off 30-minute blocks where I'm actually moving it over to the calendar, like you said. And, Carson, I know I've seen your calendar and you're literally tasks that you want to do. Like you can see it on your calendar from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or whatever. And, it's helpful because then you get those reminders on your phone that like, okay, in 10 minutes from now, I got to start this thing that I'm going to be doing.
And having a shared calendar in that sense is beneficial because I'm like, okay, well, if I don't do this, somebody else is going to see, or like if somebody else asks me. So like, for example, my best friend, I share my calendar with her as well. And so she'll sometimes say like, oh, how did this go? Like, how was this? And if you didn't do it, that's like kind of your accountability and motivation to do so. So I think, and also we are just such creatures of habit, really setting that routine or like taking that time at the beginning of the week to just plan out your week. And I know Vincent and I both have that on our calendar. Monday morning, take 10 minutes and just plan out what you're going to do for the week. So then it, like, when the time comes, it doesn't feel so overwhelming looking at everything that you have to do.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk about rewards a little bit. One of the best ways. Hey, Claire, thanks for joining this. So this is our weekly career huddle. We're talking about career strategies, mindsets, and tips. Today, specifically, we're talking about how to build habits, how to build new goals in 2021, and how to actually stick with them, how to not have it be like a New Year's resolution that you do for a week and a half and then you just drop it. And one of the ways to be able to do that is to be able to reward yourself. So Carson's talked about, breaking down the goal into bite-sized pieces, how to invest 15 minutes a day in yourself, how to put that actually on your calendar. You have to be able to keep up the motivation to be able to stick with something as well. And so, being able to reward yourself ends up being really important. And this could be as simple as like, on your diet, it would be silly to reward yourself with like cookies and ice cream every time you work out. But maybe it's something like a healthier smoothie, right? Maybe it's something that you still enjoy, where you might like smoothies, and maybe you're putting some fruit in it, but you're also putting kale and like other good supplements in it. But it's still something that you enjoy. You have to be able to find something like that and identify something like that where it's a reward that you still enjoy, but helps you work towards that goal. And so if you can figure out what that reward is, you can create a reward for yourself where it's going to be like, okay, after I finish this task, I'm going to reward myself by spending 15 minutes and watching this YouTube video. Or after I finish this workout, I'm going to make myself a smoothie, and the smoothie is going to be my reward. But being able to identify some type of small bite-sized reward like that is really, really helpful in keeping up the motivation to be able to stick with your new goals.
100% agree with that. And I think it's also going to be hard in the sense of accountability, because with a lot of things happening remotely, you're not surrounded by as many people. And so that kind of goes back to the point of Vincent said, just telling it to at least one other person, this is what I want to do. And then maybe even like having a shared reward. So if you are running a marathon with one of your friends, maybe having like a break day together where you just don't do any activity, and that is kind of like a shared reward. And so you both get that accomplishment at the end of whatever week that you're doing. So
Yeah, totally. So the next one is measuring your progress. You have to have some type of way of being able to measure your progress. And so this goes back to exactly what Jabber put in the chat, which is like, how do you get a bite-sized way of being able to measure progress? In the marathon example, it would be like increasing mileage. If your goal is healthier diet, then maybe it's like the number of days a week where you're cooking your meals, or the number of weeks in a row where you're consistently meal prepping. Those could all be different ways of being able to measure the progress, but you absolutely have to have some type of way to be able to measure progress. And the last one is just belief in yourself, belief in the possibility, belief that you can do this if you're setting your mind to it. Lori says goal setting changes throughout your life. Early on, I was so overplanned. Now I'm feeling underplanned due to job loss. Accountability partner is now helping me. And, that's why number one is involve others. If you're trying to do something yourself, it's hard to be able to make it through the good times and wanting to celebrate with somebody else, as well as the tougher times where you got to pull yourself back up. And one of the things that I love as well is, like, if you have a goal to be able to accomplish something, is find somebody else who has been able to accomplish that. I know for me, like, when I wanted to start my own first podcast, it was really helpful to be able to have Kurt Elster, who's one of my good friends, who has a successful podcast, is being able to help and get advice from somebody who's done it before. So if your chances are in whatever you're trying to set as a goal, somebody else has carved that path ahead of you, and being able to understand their challenges, being able to understand how they overcame it, is definitely something that is helpful. 100%. So let's recap real quick. We've talked about a lot of different strategies of being able to set new goals, being able to stick with them, but just kind of recapping the 7 things. Number one is involve other people. So if you set a goal, say that goal out loud, write it down somewhere, share it with somebody else, get an accountability partner like Carson has suggested. That's number one. So involve other people. Number 2 was invest just 15 minutes a day into that goal, whatever it is. You have to be consistent day over day if you're going to build new habits and work towards the goals, but break it down into bite-sized pieces, 15 minutes a day. Visualize the reward. So take a look at, like, the moment when you accomplish that goal. Where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be able to see? Like, what are you going to be able to hear? Who's going to be with you? And just like visualize that in your head. And go back to that when day by day as you're working towards the goal. Number 4 is break down the goal. Break down the goal into bite-sized pieces and just take it one milestone at a time. Number 5 is reward yourself. So figure out like small little rewards that you can give yourself along the way when you're doing the thing that you want to be doing, to be working towards that goal. Number 6 is measure your progress. And number 7, believe in the possibility. You have to believe that you can do it. And a lot of the times that means getting out of the victim mentality, getting out of thinking about why this can't work, and start taking a chance on yourself and thinking about why it can work and how great your life's going to be when you're able to pull that off.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that kind of goes back to number 6, talking about being able to track that. And if you are more of a visual learner and you think it's beneficial, something that always works for me is having that like sort of a tracker where like you color in a square on some notebook or something for each day that you do X, Y, and Z. And so then you can see like, okay, I've done this for 5 days in a row. I might as well just keep going and see if I can fill up every square.
Yeah.
So that's just another strategy. But
yeah, and you can figure out however you want to do it, but this is an example of a habit tracker where there's literally, you can just write down the habit and then there's 31 squares. And I know for me, like just knowing that like if I have an empty square, I have to like stare at it for another 30 days was just like, I don't want that. But also that feeling that you get when you check it off and mark it as complete. And like one of the things that I did in 2020 was my goal was to wake up earlier. And so like I had a tracker where it was just like, okay, this is the number of days where I was able to get myself out of bed at 5 a.m. and, just start my morning the right way. And that could be on anything. It could be on, healthy eating habits. It could be in any area, but you have to be able to track your progress.
Definitely.
So that's what we have.
I have a couple comments that we can go over to. But yeah, mostly about goal setting. It's essential. Eddie makes a great point on that. And I think if anyone has any questions about like things that they want to do, or if you want to comment any of your goals and we can kind of help walk through that and like ways to attack that, feel free.
Yeah. And there's a question box down below. And so if you hit that question mark button in a few minutes, we're going to be taking any questions that anybody has about careers, about goal setting, about launching careers, pivoting careers. Feel free to throw it down in that question mark button down below.
Yeah, exactly. And I know some questions that we've gotten before in terms of setting up goals for your career. And ideas of how you can do that is maybe mark every single day that you reach out to somebody else on LinkedIn, or make it a goal to share 3 podcasts on your LinkedIn profile, or things like that, where you can really quantify it. I think that's kind of how you're going to make yourself stick to those goals even more.
Yeah, that's a great point. And secret passcode for the week for anybody who's in our Vyten, one of our Vyten interns, North Pole.
You got it. What is it?
North Pole.
North Pole. Perfect.
All right. So North Pole is the secret passcode of the week. We do have, I think, a few spaces left in our digital marketing internship program for the group that's starting in January. So if you want more information about how to apply to be one of our digital marketing interns for January, there's a link in our Instagram profile. You can go to vyten.com/intern or hit the link in our Instagram profile. I think cutoff for that is coming up pretty soon though. So if you're interested, if you're interested in applying, get your application in before the end of the week. And yeah, it's been a really awesome group of interns that we've had this week. The digital marketing internship that we have goes through, it's a rotational program, so it goes through a lot of different areas: content marketing, social media management, and data and analytics, tools and technology, a lot of the key areas that are necessary for somebody to be able to jump into an entry-level marketing role. Peter asked a question: thoughts on sharing goal setting with your supervisor, or should they be more internal on self-improvement? I mean, if you're setting personal goals for yourself, then that could really be shared with anybody, whether it's somebody you work with or not. I know a lot of people that are part of our Vyten Council community will share their personal goals with somebody else that's in the Vyten community, but if it's a work-related goal, if it's a team goal, if it's something that is related to work, I absolutely think that it should be shared with your manager or supervisor.
Especially if that's going to be something, having it shared with that person is going to be something that motivates you to work even harder towards that goal. I would say definitely share that with them.
Yeah, and there's a structure that we that we have that we teach as part of our Vyten curriculum. That's something called OKRs, which is objectives and key results. If you do a Google search for OKRs, you can find a lot of information as well. But OKRs is how we set our goals internally at Vyten, but also part of the process that we teach for setting business related goals. The short of it is, your objective is kind of like a one sentence summary of what you want to achieve. So that could be something like, improve productivity for, a product by X%, increase, customer satisfaction on customer surveys by X%. A key result might be a few leading indicators that measure that. And so that's one example of a structure for being able to set business related goals. But I absolutely think that it's a great idea to be able to share that with your manager, especially because you want to make sure that your supervisor or your manager that you and your supervisor or manager are aligned on what the highest priorities are and what the biggest priorities are. If you think that one area is a priority and you're working on it, but your manager thinks a different area is more important and you're not focused on that area, then, at the end of the year, they might not recognize your accomplishments in the areas that they thought were important. And so being able to have an open conversation with your supervisor or manager at work about that just helps ensure that A, you're focused on the areas that are important for them, but also B, you're aligned on what success looks like and where the bar for success is measured. The worst thing that can happen is like you set a target at one number and they had a different number in their head on what success looks like, and you might have met your goal, but if you missed theirs, then there's going to be a misalignment there. And so I think having this conversation up front is a fantastic idea. And some managers, great managers, will proactively take the time to be able to do goal setting, but some leaders don't do that with their employees. And if you're working for somebody that doesn't set goals with you, whether it's on a monthly or on a quarterly basis, you can take that and kind of proactively bring it to them. And you can grab your own career and put success in your hands instead of relying on somebody else. And that's something where don't be afraid to write some goals and bring it to your next one-on-one with your manager and say, hey, I was thinking about in the first quarter that these are the areas that to me seem important. Can you give me feedback or input on whether these are the best priorities? And, what do you think about setting goals around this area? And so you can absolutely lead that conversation as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is let me just check it. All right. I think that's all we have for this session. So secret passcode of the week is North Pole. It's good to see everybody in our weekly career huddle. On our Instagram profile under the IGTV tab, you'll find the replay for this session as well as all of our weekly career huddles. Make sure on your phone to turn on notifications when we start a new IGTV or when we start a new Instagram Live. And every Wednesday, we'll see you guys here, same time, same place. I hope everybody has Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and getting ready and really excited to kick off the new year with all of you. All right, take care.
Bye.